Dear friends, welcome to the Stick to Hockey channel and another episode of Hockey Talk by me. It's always interesting and entertaining for me also to meet you all and discuss the things in hockey that has taken place very recently. If you come to the recent, yes, only today India and Australia played a five-match test series. The series was in preparation for the both the teams' preparation for the forthcoming World Cup, which is hardly 40 days away from today. The test series is normally called bilateral series it's because it is played between the two hockey playing countries. In the long history of competitive hockey, it starts from late 1880s. Countries have been playing each other. Like Scotland and Ireland played the first international hockey match in the world. But the series have not been taken very seriously because of various historical factors. Recently, if you consider bilateral series between two countries, it may be sometimes between Netherlands and Germany, but it is always India and Pakistan in hockey. They play frequently test series, mostly in India, and some part of the series in India and some part in Pakistan. When the situation was not conducive due to political atmosphere, India and Pakistan used to play in a neutral place like Dubai, Kuwait, all other places, Gulf countries. They also played in the late 80s. But in the recent times, the things have changed a lot. Being amateur sports, hockey always focuses on either World Cup or Olympics. So anything they play is an invitation tournament or bilateral series. They always, the coaches take the precedence. The priorities of the coaches go with the objective of the tour. Put a new player, change a new player, work out a strategy, hide your strength, like so many things. So it's more of an academic thing rather than professional. So recently, that India and Australia played a five-match test series. That's a very welcome step. And this series, what are the gains for India? What are the things India have gained from this? This is how I look at this series, whether we have gained it or not. Let me look into this. I wish to say many things like what are the takeaways. To put it in a short, I wish to have, let me say, there are 10 takeaways from this, maybe more, maybe less, from others' point of view. From my point of view, let me think about 10 takeaways of the test series. The number one takeaway, you see, the build-up was given to this India-Australia test series. Previously, the countries go without much notice. The result comes routinely, customarily. Nobody takes it seriously. But this time, a trophy was instituted. It was given wide publicity before the series was started. And very importantly, leading channel like Star Sports in India agreed to telecast the matches live. Then the quality of the telecast was so good, and there were commentators discussing with themselves and catching the highlights, discussing with the players who performed exceptionally that day, and highlights, many other things they brought out. So they could create an atmosphere for the bilateral series. The third, the point is, instead of playing two matches, three matches, they made it five-match test series. I think after 2006 Asia Cup, we won 2007 Asia Cup. After that, Belgium came. India and Belgium played five-match test series in Chennai. That was the last time India played five-match test series against any other country, I feel. However, in the women's side, some India men's beast teams often went outside, played five matches, but they were not considered official five matches. Official matches used to be one or two, other matches used to be friendly, so it doesn't count in the statistics, or as happens nowadays, it doesn't carry any efficacy ranking points. So, from these perspectives, the first takeaway from me is the forgotten entity of bilateral series between two hockey nations has been brought alive by this five-match series, which was held at Adelaide from 26 November to 4th December, that is today. This 9 days hockey festival, you can say, happened at Adelaide. It really revived bilateral series concept and how this concept can be an entity between two countries, not only to gain benefits for between them for doing better, honing their skills, but also to bring public into it, giving hockey sport another shot. So there's a first takeaway is a bilateral series, how it should be conceived, how it should be held, how it should be popularized. There should be such an entity called bilateral series that should be taken seriously. So that is the first takeaway according to me. If a series has to be interesting and it has to be viewed by public and it has to pull a lot of strength to the stands, the first thing that fan expect is whether leading stars are there in the team or not. As far as this series is concerned, all top players of both the countries were there, showing how much serious they are about it. For example, you take Australian team that played here, which they swept the series. There were 10 players who played more than 100 international matches. That includes 5 players who have played more than 200 matches. And one player, of course, made the landmark 400 caps, Eddie Ockenden. India, except 2 players, Simranjit Singh and Vivek Prasad, both are injured or recuperating. The clear picture of Simranjit is not emerging now, but Vivek Prasad is certainly injured. Every leading player, every player whom we think are in the form after seeing the Commonwealth Games, after seeing the Pro League first phase, all those stars are in the league. So the presence of top leaders of both the countries really gave credence to this series, and it should be the case if there is a bilateral series is held. India, Australia played bilateral series 5-6 years before also. The Australian team came, played in Rajanath, they played in Raipur. But it was so close to Hockey World League finals, which was to be held in Raipur that time, 2015. So not much importance was given to that because the Australian team has already come to India and they are going to play the Hockey World League final at Raipur. Before that, they made 3 test matches, though it was officially recognized test matches. Because the major tournament is going to take place within a week, the perception that they are playing only for practice purpose gained credence. So this was not like this. All top players were there. All 5 matches were played very seriously and competitively. That's why I consider this is another takeaway. The very important thing about this series is that Australia and India are known for one thing, that is, in the hockey traditionally, how they approach the game. Unlike the Europeans, Australians, you can say the Oceania countries, Australia and New Zealand, they always play aggressive kind of hockey, which is always keep attacking, produce more goals, make it a spectacular sports, keep interest alive throughout the match. So the third takeaway from me is that both the teams showed so much aggression. Even last 2 seconds were left in a match, a goal was scored, and it has become the match winner. It was a first match. Like that, India also repeated it in their 4th match. They also scored goals in the dying seconds. The one match that India won, the other teams struck a goal that was hardly few seconds left. before the hotel. That is the only match that India won incidentally. So this kind of aggressive hockey, you see how many times you see in one match, 8 goals are produced. In this series, there were totally 42 goals. Goals were struck in 8 matches, in 5 matches. That means more than 8 goals in a match. That is really interesting. But if you two European countries play, you can hardly see 2 goals or 3 goals in a match. Look at what happened in the finals of Tokyo Olympics, men or women. How many goals were scored? The games have to go to, the game has to be decided by shootout. Shootout may be another interesting thing, but during the match, how many goals were scored? It's not that. That's why the India bronze medal match at Tokyo is more interesting and entertaining because it produced 7 goals than the previous one. Then the final of the Tokyo Olympics. That's why, with so many goals coming in, the game was really interesting. All the 60 minutes, you were sitting on the edge of the seat. What will happen? What the move? So no quarter was taken, no quarter was given away. So that was a kind of game the both teams were known for, and India was slightly, as it started following the European style, they were not scoring more goals. But Australians have always done that. We have seen the two many Commonwealth Games finals, World Cup final, everywhere you can see that they are proficient in scoring. They have maintained it. So this is good for the global hockey. The game produces goals. Without goals, you can't have full stands. That's for sure. So this is another takeaway from this series that the both played were aggressive goals. Then comes a fourth takeaway. That is how you got so many goals. Is it not that easy to get the goals? It's not always open play. It's always penalty corners. The player not only should be efficient in getting the team goals through field maneuvers, of course, the talented goalkeepers, gifted goalkeepers, and sturdy defenders won't allow that to happen all the time. So penalty corner is another way of scoring it. Their team being very cautious, they don't actually concede penalty corners. How you will force another team for a penalty corner? So that itself is a strategic approach to the game. And luckily and thankfully for this tournament, you see, this series, each match, lot of penalty corners were struck. In the second match, it's very surprisingly, Australia has got 15 penalty corners. Same time, India got just one less, so 14 penalty corners. At the same time, both the teams, they exercised so much caution. They were so proficient and efficient in defending the penalty corners. Australia could convert only 2 penalty corners out of 15. India also converted 2 out of 14. So the things looked very equal, though that was a match that Australia swept 7-4 of India. But as far as penalty corner, getting the penalty corners, but also converting the penalty corners, defending the penalty corners, both were on equal terms. So many penalty corners were got. Interestingly, there is only one match. India did not get a penalty corner, and at the same time, Australia could not get a penalty corner goal. That was the last match. That is today. They got 5 penalty corners, but could not convert even a single goal. So only once India could not convert penalty corner on the same way. So seeing so many penalty corners, how they are negotiating, it was a lesson in itself for not only for the span, even the aspiring coaches, umpires, and everybody. So many penalty corners coming. So overall, such interesting things. This is the penalty corner, the way it was done, it was another takeaway. The timing of the series, as I already mentioned, it was held 40 days before the World Cup. Now, academically, both the coaches had ample chances without compromising commercial aspects, without compromising spectator interest. They got an opportunity to train their 20 players, see them playing against such a strong team as Australia. Honestly speaking, it's a more learning experience for India than Australians. But however, when we won the only one match, the third match, by that we kept the series alive. It is Colin Batch. The Australian coach said it's a lesson for us because they lost that match. After winning 7-4 the second match, they lost the third match to India. It's a close match, they lost 4-3. So even the world number one team's coach had to say it's a lesson for us. Then you think how many lessons Indian players and Indian coaches must have learned. So that's a great takeaway. You are playing a world number one team just 40 days before your home World Cup, and the confidence it has given by winning one match, and the confidence it has given by scoring 17 goals overall in 5 matches against such a top team is going to give doses of energy to you, confidence in you. I think that is a very big takeaway for India. Scoring 17 goals against Australia in 5 matches. If you look at the record, I think it will be a new breakaway that India has scored so many goals. The same way, when we talk about players, one great thing is that individual players' performances, it really counts. Though hockey is a team sports, one good player, another good player in each team can be a game changers. We saw in this Jack Witten, Welch from their side, and Tom Craig in the first match. They all showed how you had to be very shrewd enough to cut through the defense, position yourself perfectly before whacking a forehand or backhand so that the gifted goalkeeper is stopped in his tracks and goals are scored. The same way India, Akash showed his brilliance whenever chances were given. It was very nice to see him scoring, passing in with selflessly to others. The one match we won, the winning goal he struck few seconds left before the hooter. So that kind of individual brilliance performance were there, but coaches were very, very shrewd. They did not give them much time in every match. Like Tom Craig, we have not seen him well playing so well in the subsequent matches. Even the subsequent time was not given. So the individual brilliance was there as to see and grasp. It will be always there. But the game strategy, the coach's vision and perception of the game slightly not in favor of fans to show individual brilliance of the players. Still, there were players who shown, and we could take note of that. That is going to be another takeaway. The next takeaway I should certainly talk about penalty corners. It's not a game if takeaway means gains. It's actually a lesson. India has got so many penalty corners, but we saw not there are more than one choice to have that rectified. 90% of the penalty corners were taken by Harmanpreet Singh, a known asset with us. He has to play all his cards to retrieve India time and again. I think that is a one gray area that India must have got by now. They need to have more players. Previously, we used to have Harmanpreet Singh, Rupinder Paul, then Varun Singh. Varun was here after missing Pro League, but I don't think he was given enough chances to show his mettle. It did not happen, and the coach knows better why. So now India has to work whatever the time available with us. Is it good to rely only on Harmanpreet Singh, or we have to take risk, give chances to others? Then only the Indian chances of using the penalty corners. Yes, we are good. We are creating so many penalty corners, but are we also equally good in converting them? So that is where India has to really work on their mind. As far as forwards playing and scoring goals, I think that is a one area India has to really be concerned about. If any study is done with the software, it will be very amply clear. The number of circle entry by both the teams will be nearly same. There may not be a big difference between the two. But how Australia have scored many goals more than us, but we scored very less. It's actually India scored only 17 goals. They have scored 25 goals. How they could do it, we could not do it. Because the difference between India and the difference between India and Australia, are it's very thin in the world ranking. It's 2, 3 ranks we are below. Then how that team have managed to score so many goals? So that is exactly the another area of concern. If you look at it, we were not that sharp inside the circle. We were not that opportunistic inside the circle. Something special has not come from each individual brilliant. The commonly it is said you can't train a player inside the circle. It's always said, and it's reliable also because many times people do instinctively something that sees the ball goes through the net. I think we have made a lot of progress in different areas of the game, but as if you view from this recent India Australia bilateral series, certainly compared to Australia, our forwards lacked that kind of sharpness and fierce. It is not there. It has to be there. For example, our top goal scorer always used to be Mandeep Singh. How many goals he could score here? Of course, he was there, he was helping, he was adding pressure to the rivals, selflessly giving balls to other well positioned players. We appreciate that. But at the same time, he was not among the goals. And not that we were winning and he was not among the goals, we were also losing. So, considering this, I think we have our forwards have to be more focused, more sharper. How a good training or change of strategy can do that, we leave it to the coach. When we talk about forward and scoring, the last takeaway I think about this series is that how the goals are scored. Okay, penalty corners were struck, penalty corners were utilized. Some penalties have been converted into penalty strokes. But if you look at it, most of the crucial scores were scored through very narrow, clearly positioned goals scored in a melee. There are more legs, a mass of legs inside the circle. Still, there were nudges, there were just short passes, there were crosses. It's not coming from both the flanks, inside the circle itself. So it's all goals stuck in a melee. So within a split second, you take a decision and slightly change your position and put the ball to the left and right of the goalkeeper. Then you have cut through many defenders. You have cut through the ball through the maze of legs and sticks. If you again and again look the matches and see it, we will we will make it. It's not that just you enter the D and hit, you have got a goal. No, it's often too many give and takes compared to recent times. But ultimately, the ball was not rose. The ball did not rise into a dangerous situation, or the attackers lost it. But in a melee situation, in that crowded place, the ball still went inside because the Australian forwards could score from close range using somehow we will make out what is that strategy. Is it a strategy or fine tune? It will be a thing to be fine tuned in these close range shots and the goals. This is the last takeaway we should look at. India should look at it. And I think having played this series so fluently and lost 2, 3 test matches very closely in a single goal margin against such a team like Australia, India certainly infuses a lot of confidence in us. There is no doubt about it. After this India Australia series, I think we gain more. I think we'll be utilizing it in 40 days' time in the World Cup. It is going to give India an added ammunition, and they will be fresh, and they will be very sharp, and they will well prepared with this kind of lessons they have learned against Australia. I think in 2010 there was a trophy instituted. It is called Charles Worth Ajit Paul Trophy. That is for meant for any bilateral series between India and Australia. I think that kind of perpetuating memory of some players should take place, and this kind of series should continue year after year. With this, I finish this long episode of Hockey Talk. When the next event or next tournament takes place, we will again meet. Good luck, good day.